Baby's measuring small. I got kicked in the bump, and I am bouncing on this birth ball. Hang out here for the next couple of minutes if you're curious about my 37-week pregnancy update, and maybe some of it will be helpful for you. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new. If you love hearing things about pregnancy, birth, and babies, or holistic living, or just mama life in general, go ahead and subscribe and click the bell, like, comment, share, all that blah, 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 blah. Okay, so all in all, I'm feeling pretty good. Baby has definitely dropped, so I'm able to breathe a little easier. I'm still just super uncomfortable because of the size of my belly. I mean, you know, rocking a bowling ball between your legs for several weeks is just not my cup of tea. So about a week and a half ago, I had noticed a pretty stark contrast in baby's movement. So these are the kinds of things that, it being my second baby and also me just having the education that I have around things to look out for, I was a little bit concerned. I waited about 24 hours and noticed baby was moving, but just much less than usual. The movements were very subtle, almost like baby was sluggish. Also, baby wasn't waking me up throughout the night, whereas prior to that, it had been very consistent times throughout the night that baby was awake. So I let my husband know that I was going to call into the midwives, and I also let him know that I knew that that would mean if I call and say I'm noticing less fetal movement, they're going to ask me to come in and get checked out. Unfortunately, we are in a small town in the north of the Triangle area, and so we're about an hour and 20 minutes from where we had to go to get checked out. And it was the evening and I was feeling kind of guilty about it, but I was like, you know what? If this were any of my clients, this is exactly what I would tell them to do. Check it out. Just be safe. You don't want to make the mistake of not. So we called and they said, let's have you come in and get you checked. And I said, okay. As expected, after a little while of just being monitored and making sure that baby was in fact moving, that the heart rate was good, measuring amniotic fluid, everything checked out. But following a triage visit for reduced fetal movement, typically you're recommended to a maternal fetal medicine clinic, which I was, for a more in-depth ultrasound to take a look at some other things that might be causing an issue. So I had that ultrasound just a couple days ago. And up until about 34 weeks, we knew that baby's growth was right on track, right within a normal range. At this last appointment, after taking a closer look, there were two things that were not necessarily concerning, but something that we are going to keep an eye on. So when a baby is measuring small, which our baby is, not only for percentiles and in comparison to babies all over the world, also measuring small compared to it has been measuring. So growth kind of dropped off, if that makes sense. Baby should still be putting on a certain amount of weight on the weekly, and it might not be. So when you have a small baby, don't panic. No stress, okay? I know that's so difficult, but there's lots of things to consider. Number one is just your family history. My husband and I are both 5'4". We were both tiny babies. It is not surprising if we have a tiny baby. It's not a shocker. In fact, I would be surprised if we had a big baby. We are leprechauns, as my mom calls us in our family. So we're a small family, stature-wise. And my first son was, you know, small average, and he now is quite small comparatively to other kids his age. So not surprised by that, but they're going to take a look at your family history and say, this might just be a small baby. The other thing they kind of take a look at is, how is baby measuring ratio-wise? So is your baby's abdomen measuring the right size in proportion to the rest of the body? Disproportionate measurements could indicate something there as far as conditions or something to do with chromosomes. Our baby is measuring proportionately, so we're not concerned about that. The other thing, and the thing that I was concerned with, is how well is the placenta working? So at this stage in the game, your baby is just basically putting on fat. It's practicing for life outside the womb. It's close to being fully developed. But like I said, should still be putting on weight. And the baby gets its nutrition and its oxygen and everything for life from your placenta, which is an incredible, incredible thing. But at this point is also when sometimes lack of growth can indicate an issue with the placenta. Maybe the placenta is struggling. So one of the things that we also noticed at this ultrasound was resistance in cord blood flow to baby. So the blood flows to the baby through the umbilical cord and then away from the baby, much like your body circulates blood to any other part of your body. If I had an injury in my foot, my body would be circulating what it needs to heal that wound in my foot. And then also, like, once the blood cells have been used up, it goes back to the heart. Same thing happens with baby. It delivers what baby needs through the blood. So blood getting to baby was struggling in comparison to blood leaving baby. Not to the extent where, again, it would be concerning, but kind of right on the edge. So baby's measuring right on the edge of concerningly small, and that resistance level is right on the edge of concerningly high resistance. So because of those two things, I am still going to be seen by my amazing, amazing midwifery crew, which I'm very excited about. Had they suggested I move to maternal fetal medicine for the rest of my pregnancy, in all likelihood, I would have declined. Because I feel comfortable simply watching how this goes, basically. So the suggestion was to get the same type of in-depth ultrasound again next week. We now have a just sort of a baseline for where baby's at, and then next week we'll see if either of those numbers change, if baby's still not gaining weight, or if that resistance is even higher. Those are the two things that we're going to kind of take a look at next week. So that's the update. If you have a small baby, it could be a lot of things or it could be nothing. Please don't panic. Please don't stress. Being a mom is stressful enough. I know it's hard. It's easier said than done. But knowing what I know, I'm not worried about it. It's just one more thing to watch. It's just one more thing to keep an eye on. Yes, I keep bouncing on this ball. The other thing that happened, so that evening, and we have a 4-year-old, soon to be 5-year-old. We have our big boy, and this is our, like I mentioned, our second baby. I was snuggling with him as he fell asleep, and he ended up having a nightmare and full on booted me, both feet, judo kicked me in the bump. I mean, right in the middle of my belly. I thought I was going to throw up. It was incredibly painful. Of course, I was worried about what we now know is this itty bitty baby in there. It was awful. I ended up, this is where it gets TMI, guys. So if you don't want these details, move along. But this is where I ended up going into the bathroom about an hour later. So like after midnight, with just severe diarrhea for like half an hour. I mean, my bowels evacuated, and then I had just massive back pain. My low back hurt very badly for about 2 hours. I was pacing up and down the halls. I had to apply an essential oil mixture for back pain twice in order for me to be able to lay back down and get some sleep. And then I slept very hard for a few hours. So that was a pretty rough night. That was a couple days ago. And I do not recommend getting kicked in the belly bump at 37 weeks pregnant. Everything, just your whole body feels thrashed after that. Everything hurts. Baby's okay. Thankfully, everything's good there. Baby's been moving. Baby has very strong hiccups, which is different than my first pregnancy. So that's been kind of cute. But yeah, otherwise, everything's doing really good. So baby's measuring small. I got kicked in the belly, but we are just holding on. Like I said, I'm also very relieved to be 37 weeks. This is what's considered early term. If baby were to come at any point, I would simply trust baby's timing. So I hope this was helpful for you. If you are pregnant, please let me know how many weeks along are you. If you would like to see my 38-week pregnancy update, then be sure to like this video, comment below, say 38 weeks, woo-woo, subscribe, and hit the little bell so you do not miss that video. I'm also going to be posting here weekly with tips and tricks on healthy living, mom life, homeschooling, essential oils, DIYs, all that fun stuff. If you want to see more videos from a doula's perspective or have any questions about what you're going through, always feel free. Always listen to your care provider first, of course, but I'd be happy to share with you things that I've learned. So that's it, guys. Thanks so much for hanging out for this update, and I'll talk to you again real soon.